Hello and welcome to another edition of Around the Ice here on Fantasy and Frames, a hockey podcast. I'm your host, JT. With me, Aaron Tomatich tonight. No Toast. He's at track practice, so it's just us two. We got a couple games in progress right now, a few more just getting underway. Let's jump into that and take a look at tonight's betting action.
Where's my money? You gonna give me my money? Where's my money, man?
All right, Aaron, what do we think about tonight? We've got a couple games already at the end of the first quarter. Some are just kicking off the end of the first period, jumping into the second. We've got right now Jets at home against the Panthers. Oilers, that one starts at 7. Oilers, Penguins are on at 8 Central Time, 9 Eastern, and then Red Wings Wild, 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern. So a few of them there. Ottawa, Nashville, also another one just getting ready to drop the puck.
Yeah, I'll jump right into it. I got one, and it's the randomizer, so I'm not going to go on and on. After we get this bet in, then we can maybe dissect this a little bit. But the only bet I've got tonight is an anytime goal. I hit one of these last week, and then I put all the money on a Johnny Taves point, and it missed. So we'll get into that in a second. But the bet tonight, per the randomizer, Brian Rust, anytime goal, Sam Bennett, anytime goal, and Hartman anytime goal on the late game with Wild. So you got a little action in every game. I think that Sam Bennett goal may close shortly. So anybody listening live, get that one in. You're at plus 380.48. So 3,848 on that bet. And what I did was I took anybody plus 200, but no higher than plus 300 for an anytime goal, stuck them in the randomizer. I have yet to get somebody on the same team. I don't know what I'm going to do when that day comes. That day will come. But every single NHL player plus 200 to 300 in the later games. We're going to see how this goes. You know, I had one hit, so it's let's go for two. I don't know. We'll see. But that's the only bet I got, JT. That's all I got for you tonight.
Yeah, for me, depending on where you want to go, I might put something in here on this Red Wings game. They just played last night, a tough, hard-fought game, so I'm a little weary about jumping in a big on that one. The Edmonton Penguins game is a big one. Obviously, we have the goalie swap, and now they're going against each other. Right now, you can get Oilers minus 166, Penguins plus 140. That over-under is 6.5. Pred Centers, like I said, just getting ready to kick off. Centers are minus 118 in that one. I tell you what, if I'm going to jump on a game right now, if I'm just going to throw in a random, I would probably take in Winnipeg Jets at home against the Panthers. No Bob in this one in goal. So I like the Jets. Been playing a little bit better. You can get them at minus 110. Senators on the road. Blue Jackets Stars right now. If you like the Stars, you can get them plus 180. They're down 1-0 going in to the second period. I like that one. I kind of like Edmonton at home in this one, just with everything that's been going on, even though the Penguins have been playing well. Do all that, you're at plus 1482. If you want to get crazy and throw the Wings in there, the over-under on that is 6.5 right now. That's minus 122. The over is plus 102, so expected to go a little bit under. I think that might happen in that one. I think I'm going to go the under 6.5 in that game. That kicks up a 5-pick parlay right now, kicks that to 2,779 plus 2,779. So I like that one. I'm going to jump in there, throw a couple bucks behind that bet. So I've got Senators money line, Jets money line, Stars money line. They're currently down 1-0, so that's a live bet on that one. I've got Edmonton at home with the win on the money line, and then I'm going to go the under in the Wild Red Wings game tonight. It's under 6.5. They just played a battle of a game against Detroit, against Toronto. 2-1 game, low scoring, hard fought game. I think you're going to end up seeing kind of another low scoring game as this team is just coming off just a battle last night. And I think the Wild too have been pretty good of late here as far as keeping these games low. So I'm in on that. If I'm looking for points, player prop points, like you said, I wasn't loving anything earlier tonight. The early games I didn't have anything on. I will say we were all on the Blackhawks and the Tays coming back to town for the Jets. I had what felt like an absolute freaking money that I took. This is rare, but I had a 4-pick parlay where everything was a plus money. So I took the Wings to actually win the game at plus money. I took the under goals at plus money. So I took the Wings and or not the Wings, sorry, the Blackhawks. I'm watching these. I'm getting myself confused. I had the Blackhawks money line. I had the under goals, and it was like 5.5. So it was already kind of low, and I still took it. Got the under goals. I took 1 point from Tays, and then I had a Bertuzzi anytime goal. It was with the boost plus 6,000. I felt great about it. I actually even bumped the bet a little. I put $25 on it at plus 6,000. Look at, oh man, the game was going. I was like, oh, this feels like, I was like, I think the Blackhawks are going to win this game. So I was feeling good about that. I felt good about the unders. Both goalies played really well, and then got down to the end of it as a 2-0. I think it was 2-0 shutout, correct? By the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
And so no points for Tays, no goal for Bertuzzi, and so I got 2 out of the 4 on a plus 6,000 bet. Very rare that you can get plus 6,000 on just a 4-pick play. Like that's real high, but all those were plus money. I think just Tays for a point was like plus 125 or plus 130, depending on when you got him. And Bertuzzi, I think, was like plus 250 or 260 for an anytime goal. So it really kicked it up there. I felt great about that goal. Did not hit. If it would have hit, obviously the bankroll would be a lot higher right now, and I'd probably have a few more bets tonight, knowing that I was really up on that one. So if we see any bets, I'm going to keep an eye on some of these. If I see something else as we get going along, I maybe jump on that. I usually have a Wings player prop bet, but like I said, after last night's game, and I feel like this was going to be low scoring, I don't feel super confident on that one, so I have not picked one there. If you wanted to get in a player spots on this Edmonton Penguins game that starts here in about an hour, I tell you what, I mean, McDavid and Crosby have been just absolutely on fire. The fact that Crosby's top 5 in the NHL in goals, 38 years old, it's pretty impressive, man. We kind of talked about him in the preseason, like, hey, Dynasty, he's taking a hit. Obviously, he's a little bit older, but man, we were like, our host especially was talking him up in redraft. It was like, I really think he's going to score a lot of points this year. He's like, he's got to, or this team's going to be awful if he doesn't actually put up points. And so far, he's doing it. And I tell you what, the Penguins have looked a whole lot better than we originally thought they would this year. And really, it's been Crosby driving the train for them that has really kind of kept them in it. So let's jump into the rest of this. Let's jump in here and go around the ice, talk about the action.
The good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game.
So talking about the action tonight, what's going on? Blackhawks just put in a goal. They go up 2-1 on Carolina. If you were, and I didn't do it tonight, I was thinking about it, but the Blackhawks, if you got them at plus, if you get them plus goal and a half in some of these games, you get some pretty good odds. They were actually, I think Carolina was a minus 300 money line in this game, if that tells you anything. So they were huge favorites in this game. So if you had a chance to take the Blackhawks, you could have. Right now, Blackhawks up 2-1. Nick Lardis, we talked about him earlier in the year in kind of a Rising Stars segment, and a toast I know grabbed him in our home league for nothing off the waiver wire. He's like, I can't believe he's just sitting out there, and he grabbed him. And I tell you what, Lardis was the second before he came up, but man, he has looked pretty good. He gets his 5th goal. Oliver Moore's been impressive. He gets his 10th assist, and Ryan Donato gets his 10th assist to put the Blackhawks up 2-1. Some of these young guys getting some playing time for the Blackhawks. And even though, I tell you what, I feel like we talk about this every week, even though they have one of the worst records in the league, it seems like they're in every game. And all these young players are playing pretty well and getting quality time on ice, as opposed to when you're bad and you're stuck with horrible contracts and you got a bunch of old guys just trying to make it through another day. You just don't feel like you have anything to look forward to. This is a rare team that's losing, yet still is giving you pretty positive vibes, aren't they, Aaron?
Absolutely. And again, we've talked about them before, and we've made our comparisons here to Anaheim and San Jose, and three teams, I would say, out of the league that have selected to burn it all down and start it all back up. Not thrilled to say or thrilled to admit the Blackhawks seem to be trailing, especially this year when you got the other two that are actually competing for playoff spots. But to your point on the Blackhawks, I really do agree. Again, I look at it, net out, and Spencer Knight has been tremendous goalie. The dude faces top 5 shots on goal. Some of the defense kind of hasn't really clicked like we thought it would. As of late, they're playing a little bit better, but overall, I do like what I see. There's some potential there. Of course, every every single team has injuries. Had some injuries to some guys that had some good starts. Actually, he's back tonight. Frankie Nazar is back, but he missed a pretty significant chunk of time. Bedard was out with that shoulder thing, probably cost him the Olympic bid. I'm not terribly heartbroken, number one, because obviously we're going to be pulling for USA, and not having Bedard on that team is doesn't present a conflict when the Olympics come around. Not that it would, but I'd just rather have Bedard at home instead of playing for Team Canada. So it didn't make the squad, but he's probably one of those call-up guys. Like, I think they've already gone to that. I know USA, what was it today? Jackson Lacombe is going to take the place of Seth Jones. Seth Jones just won't be healthy enough to quite make the team. So the point is, they probably tell Bedard, hey, keep your phone on. So we may see him out there. I don't know, but for right now, he seems to be fully healthy. He played well in the playoff game or not playoff game. I felt like a playoff atmosphere, but when Taves came back, what a tribute. He did get 4 laps. Kane got 3. Taser got 4. So that's the captain gets the extra lap. That's just how it goes. The captains get the extra day with the cup, so it makes sense when they come back, they get the extra lap. But yeah, I've enjoyed it, and again, to kind of close it up here on the Hawks, the Nick Nolardis. I know that's Toast Boy. He talks him up every time. He just really hasn't translated into the NHL yet. We haven't seen it yet. 5 goals looks good now. When it's got it when it clicks for this guy, I think it's going to click. I think it's going to be like an Alex DeBrincat, kind of similar stature to a DeBrincat. But the point is, and if Toast were here, he'd be making this point right now. Like, the guy can score. He scores at every level. So it's a matter of time before he gets this figured out. He's just got to get comfortable in there, playing the NHL game and playing defense. And, you can't – it's just a 45-second shift to skate as hard as you can. And sometimes at 45 seconds, you're out on the ice. You're digging the puck out of your own end, and you just don't have the energy or the time. Or – you don't have the coaching structure that's going to support you to rush it down. I mean, that's just how the game is. So the game at the NHL level is just a series of 2 teams that go to try to make the fewer mistakes. These guys can skate faster than anybody in the world. I put them up against a racehorse. These guys can skate faster. They are so fast. They hold back a little bit at the NHL level. And again, it's just the game when you really break it down to its basics. It's who makes the fewest mistakes. So you get a guy like Nick Lardis. Yeah, he can stand on the blue line like Brett Hull used to do, get the puck and probably go down and score. But is he a defensive liability when he makes that play? Well, that's the kind of stuff that he's got to figure out for his game. Once he gets it figured out, then Toast is going to laugh and laugh and laugh and probably count his money because, like you said, he picked him up for nothing. So, although the records, bottomed Weller, it's been a good, been good and fun again to watch the Hawks.
2 other teams finally making a little run. Got off to a slow start this year. Montreal and Buffalo. Buffalo had that 10-game winning streak earlier here at the beginning of the year. They're currently up 3-1 on Montreal. This is a big one too, because if you look at the standings in the East right now, Buffalo is 4 points behind Montreal. Montreal's sitting with 63 points behind Tampa Bay and Detroit, both with 66 in the Atlantic. Third place is Montreal with 63, and then Buffalo with that huge run is up to 59 points, have jumped Boston and Toronto now. And Florida, for all the injuries they've had and everything that's happened with Florida and what a truck they've been the last couple of years, they're in second to last in the Atlantic right now with only 53 points, tied with Ottawa. They're at 53 points. So a big game tonight for Montreal and Buffalo. Buffalo a chance with a win tonight could make up some big-time ground here on Montreal. They have the lead right now, playing really well. They're up 3-1 About midway through the second period in this one, Jason Zucker with the goal, Benson with a goal, Maustein with a goal. Cofield finally got the Canadians back on the board with assists from Matheson and Suzuki to make it 3-1 in this one. Kind of the big news for the two of the guys in this game. Doan signing a big contract extension, 7 years, just under $7 million for Buffalo. I know Gail was pushing hard to try to get him from me in our home league. I was like, nope, I like this guy, especially once he got traded to Buffalo. I was like, I think this is going to be a great opportunity for him to see a lot of time in ice, and he has been pretty good for them this year. If you look at what he's done so far this season after moving over from Utah, 49 games this year. I'll just go back. Last year at Utah, 51 games, 7 goals, 12 assists, 19 points total, 45 hits, 14 blocks, 8 shooting percentage. This year, 49 games, so 2 less games, but he's seeing much more ice time this year. 20 assists, 15 goals, already has 35 points this year. He's got 109 shots on goal. His shooting percentage is up to 13.8. He's got 44 hits and 18 blocks, so he's still getting that, but all the scoring has gone way up. So Josh Doan, I really like what he's bringing to Buffalo, and they locked him up for about 7 years, $7 million deal across the board. He's the big one there. And then on the other side is Lane Hudson, a guy that we were on a roll last year, just taking him every game with an assist. He's the guy that kind of got snubbed in the Olympic hockey for USA. Everybody kind of thought he was the guy that might get that extra spot. He did not get it. So let's talk a little bit about these guys. Both these teams showing a lot of improvement lately, especially Buffalo after that awful start. Now sits at 27-17-5. Montreal just in front of them, like I said, in the standings, 28-15-7, currently with a 3-1 lead Buffalo.
Yeah, and like you said about Buffalo, I think you got probably it probably for Ranger and Islander fans, this might be different. It might be different. Maybe Buffalo is seen more of a rival or kind of. I'll even we always throw the football because you've got about 7 million podcasts for football, but I kind of liken it to like a Bears Green Bay where it's kind of a tap on the head. Oh, nice try. So Buffalo's kind of and again with the playoff drought, we've gone on and on, but I would say generally speaking, there's a lot of Canadian teams, a lot of Toronto, Montreal. It's too expensive to attend. It's actually, believe it or not, cheaper to cross the border, go over and go to a Buffalo game. So when your team's on the road, you go down there to Buffalo. It's just kind of a Canadian thing. I've heard several either players, fans talk about that. I'm big into the hockey. Hockey card buying and selling. I've got a lot of guys that live in that area. Heard this story many, many times. Point I'm making is I think you've got a lot of people on the Buffalo train. A lot of people want to see that, especially since, my team's in the West, so I couldn't care less who's in the East. So if there's a playoff spot to give, I'd love to see Buffalo in there and just kind of in this streak, get to talk over. And this could be the team. With Buffalo, and you said everything, and I agree with everything you said on Josh Doan. He wasn't getting the ice time. He was kind of a third, fourth liner on a very, very highly talented Utah team. Wasn't the right fit. Now, with Utah/Arizona, of course, it was kind of a big deal when they moved him because that was where his dad, Shane Doan, played all those years. The organization drafts him, they get him, they play him, and then they trade him. So probably not the best, most smooth, like, oh my God, now I'm shipping off to Buffalo. Talk about resiliency. I mean, I don't know that necessarily woke it up, or maybe this guy was always as talented. I sure never had any of these numbers that he's putting up on my radar. They highlighted him on a TNT broadcast last week, or maybe it was earlier this week. I can't remember, but he's number 1 in the NHL for takeaways. Takeaways. So he's taking the puck off people's stick and not giving it up. That's huge. Number one across and 15 goals and 20 assists, line 1 and 2 time, power play time. Like, we're looking at a big deal here. I think it's bigger than what people think. And the new GM that comes in to Buffalo, the European guy, and says, hey, you're either with us or against us. You're either on board or not. within 2 weeks of him coming in and kind of cleaning house and being the guy that finally gets it together for Buffalo, throws this guy. Now you know it's serious. They're throwing him 7.5, whatever it was. It's legit. I think we're seeing the beginning of a guy that might not be superstar, but he'll be an NHL star. He's fun to watch. The whole team is fun. Everything I just said, I'd say is as much about Montreal. Demidov, Hudson, Caulfield, Suzuki's got 41 assists. Nick Suzuki. I mean, they're fun to watch too, and I want them to make the playoffs too. So these two teams going head to head. I finally am at a point now where we can say, as the Boston Bruins are up 4-0 on the Vegas Knights here, but I'm a little burned out and tired of the Rangers Boston. I'm just not those teams, the original six and blah, 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 blah. But every year in the playoffs, it's those two guys. It's those two teams. It's this, it's that. Just not a fan of either one. I don't necessarily hate them, but it's time for new blood over there. It's time for those the Red Wings to be back, which it looks like they have. That overtime win, by the way, was awesome. That goal that Larkin poked in, Siders right there to get they're playing at a high level. But yeah, to see the Sabres and Canadiens battle it out in meaningful hockey in January, almost February, and just before the Olympic break, it's a pretty good spot to be in. And again, I think collectively across the fandom of the NHL, you're going to get some fans outside of Buffalo that wish well on the Sabres and the Canadiens for that matter. So good on them. Let's get some bad blood going. Let's turn this into something. Let's turn this into a rivalry or something. It's meaningful hockey is a different game.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about Lane Hudson. Everybody, he was getting some late push to make the Olympic team. Only 21 years old, so he's coming up on his birthday. He's going to be 22 here shortly. But the guy's only been in the league. Technically, this is really only his second year. He only played 2 games in his first year in 2023. So second full year. Let's go through the stats, kind of what he's been doing, and this is kind of why people are pushing so hard for him. 82 games in 2024, 6 goals, 60 assists for 66 points, 91 shots. 40 hits, 123 blocks. This year, already in 50 games, 9 goals, 43 assists. He's already got 52 points. His plus-minus went from -2 to +18 this year. He's already got 82 shots, so he's shooting a lot more. His shooting percentage is up to 11% from 6.6. Still got 21 hits, 82 blocks, so he's still getting a lot of blocks, way ahead of what he had last year. So this guy, I mean, he was an assist machine for us last year. Right now, 43 assists already this year. He looks good. I wasn't like, oh, how can you not put him on the team? I wasn't that far. I mean, he's good, and if he would have been on the team, they would have picked him. I'd be like, okay, that makes sense to me. I some of the things I read and I heard people were saying, hey, we already kind of have a guy that does what he does, and Hughes. Do we need more of a banger type? Do we need a bigger guy on defense to kind of take up some space? And that's where some of the stuff that came were like, hey, that's why we went with a different guy. Wasn't anything against him. It's not that he doesn't have talent. We just needed a little more variety on our defense. So there's word that he's taking the snub kind of a little hard, which I love. If 21-year-old guy's pissed he didn't make the Olympic team, I'm glad. That means you want to be there. So while he might not be there this year, there's a chance, you never know with injuries, everything else, there's a chance he still gets there. But if not, I mean, I think this is a guy to keep an eye on in the future for Team USA.
Yeah. I think moving. Yeah. So we won't have another one for 4 years. Obviously there's 2 years between the 2 Olympics, summer and winter, another 4 before we play winter again. But I think at that point he will be a staple. He'll make every other Olympic team as long as they let pros play. He'll make it every time. But what you said is exactly right, and the thing that I was thinking of the whole time is they have Quinn Hughes, they have the water bug guy, they have the guy that's going to deke, and I would say I watch a heck of a lot of Montreal games. I watched quite a bit of Vancouver when Hughes was there, and then I now obviously Minnesota Wild. And what they're doing, it's at this point is kind of, can't miss hockey. I mean, especially tonight's game, obviously for you with them playing the Wings. But when you watch Quinn Hughes play, And he gets the puck. That's where he makes people miss. Lane Hudson a little bit different. He creates a separation without the puck. So without the puck, I think Lane Hudson, that's where he picks up his mileage and his assists. He gets himself open. And he can also spot the open guy. I think he's just an exquisite passer. He's, saucing the pass when he needs to sauce it, putting it on the ice when he puts it on ice, finding those, a lot of the shot pass where you're winding up, but you're aiming for a stick. It's very hard to do, very hard to hit. But he seems to have mastered that. So he saw a lot of that in college. And again, it's that bloodline. He's got a brother that's in the Caps organization that Cole Hudson will see him. And we got all these sets of brothers. It's crazy how the NHL works. Hughes, Kachucks, now we're going to have Hudsons, and there's probably more out there than that. But yeah, I would just say that I don't know what the record is for defensemen for assists in a year. I think maybe Paul Coffey, if I were guessing. But if I think this guy could beat it, especially with the talent and where Montreal is headed and how they've drafted, scouted, traded. There's a lot of really elite level scoring, and this dude's just gonna, just being out there and getting that second assist, he's gonna pick up a ton of assists doing that. But usually he's the primary assist. That says you're the one that's designed the play. You're the one that's sucked in the defender or taking the extra guy. You still find your open pass and hit the pass, and he's just a master at it. Like I said, Quinn Hughes, he's the master at deking with the puck and far superior to any other defenseman, maybe outside of Makar. But without the puck, Lane Hudson, always open, always finding the space. Doesn't have a 100-mile-an-hour clapper, but he doesn't need one when he's that precise. He's kind of like Greg Maddux. The guy could pick his spots, couldn't throw the ball 100 miles an hour. He couldn't even throw it 90 miles an hour. But he picked his spots. He was very smart about it. That's what I see in Lane Hudson, and he's so fun to watch. I can't wait till the day where he's a staple in that USA. But yeah, for now, for this team, the last thing I'll mention, because you started with this, I agree with you that they're building the team to win. They're building the team to beat Canada. You get a guy, Tommy Wilson and some of these bigger body guys that are playing on Team Canada. You're going to have to, fight fire with that. So we got our guy, we got our small little shifty guy. Let's go for, get some meaty guys back there on that blue line. And that's certainly the direction they took.
Yeah, Montreal just scored. Nick Suzuki makes it 3-2. So they're getting back at that game. A game that's not close currently. The Bruins against the Vegas Knights 4-0. They scored 3 goals in 54 seconds in this game. They got off to a wild start. I mean, it was quick in this one as they got rolling real quickly. McAvoy, Lindholm, Janot, and then Pasta added the 4th goal in the second period. So they're currently up 4-0, kind of cruising along right there against the Knights. 2-2 now, Carolina and Chicago in that game. Columbus still up 1-0 on Dallas. Ottawa got the early start against Nashville. They're up 1-0 as Stephen Holiday got the goal there for them, and they got 1-0 again. Florida Winnipeg underway. They're scoreless currently. And then if you're looking to get in some later bets, we talked about them here at the beginning of the show. Still got 2 late games going with the Oilers, Penguins, and the Red Wings Wild starting at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, and 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central for the Red Wings. Wild game. Anybody else you want to jump on or talk about here with some of the games going on tonight, either players or teams?
Last thing I'll kind of, and it's not a current game, but it's just a little betting situation. So we share our victories. Obviously, we share our defeats. We're a very transparent podcast. If we don't hit, we're going to tell you. If we hit, we're going to tell you probably twice as much on the ones that we hit. But we touched on it. We fluffed it a little bit. We talked about the Taves to return to Chicago game. So I hit one of these crazy random goal scoring little random things. Just threw a couple bucks at it. So I was pretty much down to chipping a chair in DraftKings, about $100. So I stuck it. Oh God, I didn't group text or anything, so you couldn't even talk me out of it, even if you had, because I didn't send it out. But I put everything that I had left in the account, which was about $100, on that Johnny Taves point. I just thought he was going to do it, and you had it as a leg, right? So we both watched the game. Toast watched the game. All the Blackhawks came watching the game. ESPN didn't block it out or black it out for, I don't know how it snuck through, but so everybody in the area had it. We all watched it. It was not for lack of ice time. Johnny Tate, he was out on the ice the entire game, especially at the end when they pulled the goalie. They had him out there. They took a timeout. They kept him out there. He was on the doorstep so many times, just could not tuck it in or pass it over or just get that point. So point of all that is never bet with your heart. Never, ever, ever bet with your heart. Just stay away from it.
That was a total
No
heart
such
bet.
thing as
I
a
was the
lock.
same way. I felt the same way when I put it in. It was a total bet. I was like, he's going to score, but the Blackhawks are going to win, and they're going to be pumped that he scored, but they're going to be happy that he scored because the Hawks won. You know, I completely talked myself into it too. So you weren't the only one. Like I said with the bet I put in earlier, he did get 18 minutes of ice time in that one. It did feel like he had a decent chance to score a couple times in that game. It was, it was just both goalies played really well. Hellebuck had 22 saves, only gave up the one goal. They scored the empty netter at the end. So, it was a 1-0 game like the entire time. Knight played amazing, 32 saves out of him. He was great. It was one of those weird ones, it's like you're trying to figure out like, oh, who's going to get points? And then there's just, this is a goalie game. The goalies are just playing out of their mind. And it was funny because we were waiting. No points the first. Second period, Dixon got the goal. You're like, okay, 1-0 Dixon. And then it was just like nothing after that. Both the goalies just shut down. And then Bedard got the empty netter. If would have been the only guy you probably else would have taken for a point or a goal. Right. Got the empty netter. But other than that, it was just it was a 1-0, just absolutely, insane goalie play by both guys. So it was one of those that sucked that we lost the bet. It sucked you didn't score a point, but you're like, man, it was a really good game though. You're like, the game was good. And you saw that, but it just hurt when you missed the bet there. So
yep. Do your research and never bet with your heart. Always bet with your mind. So lesson learned, and hopefully tonight everybody got that bet in, because that's the first bet on the or all the bets we gave are on the recovery. We're on the mend, so we'll see.
Yeah, and Ottawa's scoring here. They're up 2-0. I took them tonight, so they got off to a good 2-0 start. Nashville absolutely murdered. Probably a million bets across the the world the other night when they upset Colorado. I know it was one of those that ate it pretty hard. I had a pretty good bet going that I felt real confident in, and that one buried me on a pretty significant parlay I had going. So that's hockey though. You just never know night to night. It's like you go with the odds. You take what you think is a good bet, but crazy stuff happens. Nashville coming out and win that game in Colorado, who hadn't lost a home game all year. Like, if anybody was going to do it, you didn't think it was going to be Nashville, and especially at that point. And then Nashville comes in and gets the upset. And you're like, what is happening? You're like, how did this happen? So, it's sometimes it's just crazy like that. And not only did they win, they won 7-3. They would have like their most goals of the whole year. And you're like, Colorado's just been absolutely dominant at home. And then they give up 7 goals. And I kept the thing that got me too, I kept live betting Colorado because I'm like, oh, they're down. They're going to come back. They're going to come back. And then every time I thought they were back in it, they get down like 2-1. I'm like, okay, I'll live bet. And they'll tie it up 2-2. I'm like, okay, here we roll. Then 2 more Nashville bets. It's 4-2. I'm like, all right, I'm going to throw one more at Colorado. They get back in this one and they make it 4-3. And I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. And then 3 straight goals to finish it out. And I'm like, oh my God. So it was also, that's another good lesson learned. Sometimes just take the loss. Just take the loss. Yeah. Just be like, you burned the money. Sometimes I get to that where I just start chasing on the live bets, and then that's when you crush the bankroll. Just chasing that live bet, and instead of missing 1 bet, you miss 3 bets live betting. So sometimes the live bet works out well, and sometimes you eat it hard. So I ate it hard on that one when they lost 7-3 to Nashville last week. That one was a little bit of a rough one. Let's go ahead and let's talk about our fantasy league. Let's see what we got as far as going on.
It's Weekend Update with Colin Jost and Michael Che.
So our Around the Ice Fantasy and Frames Listeners League. I haven't done an update on a little bit on that one. Toast is not here to talk smack, but I'm sure he will when he gets back on the next podcast. He's currently in the lead at 12-3 in the league. King McCarr's 11-4 in second. I've made my way back into third. We've got a three-way tie at 10-5 between Sinbox Bangers, Work in Progress, and Iserman in my pants, my personal team. And we're all at 10-5 right now, tied for third. Habs and Have-Nots, 9-6 and 6, still looking at the playoffs there. And then Aaron, you are right in the mix there at 8-7. You and Pukey Puckerson at 8-7 in the mix at the top. We've got three teams already officially eliminated from the playoffs. Big week this week. As I was looking through, I'm so far having a monster week. My team got off to a crazy start. I got 110 points already. No one else in the league has more than 76. So I got 110 right now and feel pretty good. Now it's the wait and see, right? Now's that time where you're like, oh, how many days are left in the week? Like, just hold out hope that you don't get caught. So right now would be a big one because I'm actually playing King McCarr, who's in second place at 11-4. So a win here would get me to 11-5, knock him to 11-5. And would get me at least a share of second place right now. So that would be a big one. You and the Habs and Habs-Nots, you guys are in a battle. He's at 70.8. You're at 60.8. He's 9-6. You're 8-7. So this would be a big week for you. If you can get the win and tie up, then you guys would both be in 9-7. Just be two wins out from that third place spot. So you guys are right in the mix. That's a big one there. Pucky Puckerson's currently losing. He's 8-7, tied with you as well. To Dealer, who's work in progress. He's looking to get to 11-5. If he can do that, he will stay in second place. And possibly, if I can hold on the win, we could get a three-way tie, for second. Toast is currently losing right now, 60.5 to 58, but he always has a way to come back and win and stay in first place. So those are kind of where we're at right now. And then Sinbox Bangers currently up 76 to 46. He looks like he's going to get to 11-5 too. So there's a good chance we're going to have a whole bunch of us all right at 11-5, 10-6, right in that range. So we've got ourselves a battle so far here. It's been the first year of the Listeners League, but it's been a good one so far as we've gotten nice action out of everybody there. Going into the rest of fantasy hockey, taking a look at our home league. It's been a minute since we kind of talked about the old home league. I'll tell you what, Aaron, before I get in the home league, I got into a categories league with Toast on top this year. It's one of the few leagues I'm in that has like a max cap on plays. I got to start paying more attention. I don't know how many times I've gone over plays because there's a lot of times I'm just setting lineups. I'm just getting as many guys in the lineup as I can. And I've had like 3 or 4 times this year where I went over and I didn't notice until Sunday. And I was like, oh, I tried to get everybody out of my lineup. And I'd already was over by like 1 game or 2 games. And I'm like, even if I sit everybody today, I'm going to get a 0. And I went from like a huge week of winning to going zeros across the board because that's how this league works. If you go over plays, you just get zeros across the board. So hence my record in that league is not good, but I do feel better in that at least my team has been in the mix somewhat in it. So something I got to look at next year. So if you're in one of those leagues, pay attention. I've been horrible about this year because usually if I'm in leagues that are capped, they typically are like super high. Like it's rare that you get to them. This league, I think, is like 70 plays. So it's like you can get there pretty easily depending on the week sometimes, especially because we have huge lineups. Like we're playing a ton of starters in this league. So you can get to that 70 plays a little bit faster than you think you can sometimes. So just a little note to everybody in that one. In the home league right now, standings, Crackhouse is dominating our league, 13-1. Aaron, you're right there at second, 10-4. Your team has been solid all year in the mix. Right behind you, you finally passed up Toast, as Toast is at third at 9-5, tied with Meat Sweats. Fifth, Long Live the Note. And the new guy, Gale, Whalers Dick Honey 7-7. He's currently in sixth. This guy has remade this roster and has a shot to actually make the playoffs. So it's been a big run for him. I got off to a nice start to the year, and I have just been injuries on top of injuries. This is just another one of those leagues for me, and I always have a couple teams that do this. I either have an awesome week and I blow up and score a ton of points and I win, or I completely crap out and lose like a super low scoring garbage matchup where I lose by like 5 points and we're like the two lowest scoring teams of the week, and I lose like the second lowest scoring team and I'm the lowest. So that has been how my team has gone here in the home league. I'm currently sitting in seventh place at 5-9, but our last playoffs spot is points. So even if I could catch Gale, I think he's got about 400 points on me. I think he's got that last playoff spot pretty much locked up at this point. And then we got our rebuilders kind of at the end. A couple guys have kind of traded off a lot of assets, getting younger guys, playing for the future. So I'm kind of stuck in the middle there right now. I do like my team. The problem is, you say, hey, don't go with your heart all the time. I too often go with my heart and get on the Red Wings. I probably have way too many Red Wings players on my team, which is probably my inconsistency. When they play well and they score a lot of points, my team seems to do really well. If they don't and they get shut out, I tend to be really bad. So that's where we're at on that. So I'm 5-9 in there. What do you think kind of about either the Listeners League or Home League, about where you're at with what your teams are doing?
Well, I would say both. Kind of the similarities between these two leagues right now are we're right at the 2-week mark. So we have 2 weeks before the Olympic break. And again, everybody knows, or if you're not, the NHL season actually pauses while the Olympics go on. So all these guys we've been talking about that have made the roster, they're going to go out to Milan. They're going to play play for the medal and for their country and blah blah blah. So everybody else is going to get some time off. So why do I bring that up? I bring that up because some teams the professional teams, they want to be in as good of a situation as possible. For example, we really broke down and talked about this Montreal Buffalo, how these two rising teams are meeting tonight and they're battling it out. Not a whole lot of penalties in that game, by the way, but just some good hard hockey, a 1-goal game at the moment. But these teams are going to want to make a push over these next 2 weeks to be in a position where you're in a playoff spot. So all these teams that are on the cusp, these wild card teams, all that, you're going to see a major push. Now, what does that mean for us in fantasy? That means let's go ahead and expand our search for free agents to those third lines. Let's look at Buffalo. A guy that jumps out is Ryan McLeod. He's been picking up a lot of ice time. He's been one of the key pieces to Buffalo's resurgence, to their currently holding on to a playoff spot. So in both of those leagues, I'm looking at him. I'm seeing if he's available. Is he available for a trade? Maybe I can mortgage, like you said. There's some guys that kind of towards the bottom of both our home league and our cat league and our salary cap league. It's just these fantasy leagues kind of model the real world where you're trading players for assets. So I would not mind giving at this point a first or second round pick for a guy like Ryan McLeod for how he's been playing and how he'll give me probably a pretty good 2 weeks here, and then he's going to come back. After the break and the players are back and the schedule resumes, we still got some time. So if your league goes beyond that, you may have some more time to pick that up. Ours will end when the break happens, but then we have playoffs, so even more important to get those scoring guys. So I look at those things, and what I'll say too, last thing I've got with our home league, that not the Listeners League, but our home league. If you're not already in this, have this format in whatever league you're at home, I really highly suggest that the quote unquote loser bracket, let the teams play for that, because when I look at your team, JT, and I look at these bottom. So there's six teams that make the playoffs, 4 that don't. Those 4 get slated against one another. The winner of that toilet bowl, if you will, gets first pick in this league. So Gavin McKenna is at stake. So yeah, you've got your injuries are over. If you can stay healthy, then should have a pretty good shot at beating everybody else that has traded off a lot of those players for assets. So you're not. I'm not going to say it's not. It won't be easy. It won't be a cakewalk. I don't want to kind of put that jinx on you, but you're. I at this point,
I'm hopefully going to be in the mix. I was last year. I just barely missed the playoffs. It went down to the last week of the last week of the season. I was picking up as many guys I could to try to get in. I just missed in points. I didn't get. Oh man, it was crazy. I think I missed the last playoff spot by like 2 points or 4 points. It was something ridiculously small. We were like a million times if I would have just played another guy or wouldn't miss the guy, I would have got it. So I missed the playoffs. I was able to get the number 1 pick. That's where I took the kind of controversial pick of Anton Fondell. I took him with the number 1 pick. I gave my boy John the Misa with the number 2 pick. So he was pumped. He wanted Misa. I wanted Fondell. So it is with a couple of guys I really like at the top of the draft. It is one of those things like that is the one thing that I think I like as well. And I do it in a lot of my football leagues is I like teams to try to fight for that top spot because it does take you like if you do miss the playoffs, it does keep you still alive. And you don't feel like, I'm just like always picking middle of the pack. You do have a shot at getting a higher pick up there. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll have the first pick do that. But if you have like, say, 2 or 3 rounds of rookies, I then go back and I go by worst record starting the second, third round. So like if I had, if I'm like technically if I would have been the 4th pick, but I won the toilet bowl, so I got the number 1 pick. In the second round, I still get the 4th pick. In the third round, I get the 4th pick instead of the first pick. I let the guy who has the worst team record-wise, even if he didn't win the number 1 pick, he gets that in the next couple rounds. So I do that in a couple of my dynasty football leagues as well. It's good because it keeps people in action, trying to at least not completely sell off everything because you still have to kind of earn that first pick. You can't just automatically get it by finishing last or like sitting guys. So but then if you do sell off everybody, and you're like, hey, I've had teams do it where guys sell off everybody and they still somehow win it. It's just a toilet bowl because they have a good week or two and they still get the number 1 pick. But if you don't, you still have a chance to get a pretty high pick in some of those other spots. So I think that's always a good thing. And I think hockey is, we've talked about it. It's a little bit different. Sometimes you get that number 1 guy and you're like, oh, he's a clear-cut superstar. He's going to be. And then you get other years where like, okay, they're taking a chance on some of these young guys. Some of them hit faster than others. Some of the times you're getting a guy that's playing in year 1 or year 2. And other times you're getting those top picks and they're waiting 3, 4, or 5 years before they get in the league. So it's a little bit chance here compared to like the NFL where it's like guys can hit later, but I mean, you pretty much need those guys to play right away, and you expect them, usually those high draft picks, to play right away. So I do think that's a good thing. I do like your heads at. So I was looking just for people that are trying to look at, I was trying to look at the schedule. February 5th is the last NHL game before the Olympics. So February 5th to Wednesday, February 25th is when they kick back off. And what you said, and we'll talk about this probably in future shows here leading up to the Olympics, but you definitely got to look for guys that are playing the Olympics, maybe not seeing a ton of time right when they come back, and some other guys that didn't play, maybe see a little more ice time right away. And that's a good chance to go in there, grab some waiver wire pickups, especially if you're making either a playoff push or you're in the playoffs and you're trying to get a couple little extra ice times. That's something like, I think that's a good thing that you brought up there. Like, hey, keep an eye on that, especially if a guy gets an injury in the while out there, look where his team's at. Are they looking like they're like already in the playoffs? Is it a good player who's on a team who's clearly not going to make the playoffs? Do they ease him back into the lineup as opposed to throwing him right back out there after the Olympics, knowing that, hey, we don't want to injure this guy more because we're not making the playoffs this year anyway. So all those things are big factors as you look in. Coming up here on the hour, Aaron, final thoughts for everyone here tonight.
I think you wrapped it up very well there with you. We talked about knowing your league. We've said that a million times. But this Olympic year adds an extra element of strategy, just as you laid it out. And look, I'd say perfect example, real world example of what you just said. Matthew Tkachuk, he got hurt in the Four Nations last year. came back a little too early, and then he got hurt in the playoffs, so they were missing him in the playoffs. I mean, obviously still won the cup, but he just now skated, what was it, yesterday or the day before, his first game back after missing all those months. So point is, they're playing very, very tough hockey in these tournaments. These aren't just, hey, let's go over there and kind of skate around and not care.
Oh, these aren't all-star games. They're not a wheel and deal. These guys are taking it seriously.
You're not going to see the fights because the Olympics don't allow them, or you get crazy suspension for them. So we're not going to see, unless it gets really out of hand, I don't think we're going to see the fights like we saw in Four Nations. But we're going to see playoff level hockey, which means that's fast skating, 45 seconds, as fast as you can go, and hits on the D-men when you dump in the puck. So get ready. And like you said, JT, some of those guys come back a little banged up. So the other guys got to fill in, the guys that didn't go over and play and get to hang out in Italy for a couple of weeks. We're going to be looking at those guys. So again, these Olympic years, you just got to think and approach it differently. Know your league first and foremost. But now let's really, just take a step back and think about how the rest of this NHL season is going to pan out and what it could mean. Because the guy that doesn't think of that, just coast through because he's got a good record going into this, those are the guys that are the first ones out of the first round. I don't care what your record is. So there's a chip in a chair, just like my DraftKings account right now, chip in a chair, right? You get straight at the bottom, but I still got a shot. We'll see. So good luck, everybody out there.
All right, everybody, thanks for joining us tonight. I know a little off on a Thursday night as our schedule's been a little bit up in the air here lately with a bunch of things going on, but a random Thursday night show this week should be back to Wednesday next week. So look for us Wednesday about 7, usually between 7 and 8 Central Time, 8-9 Eastern Time for us on the show. It's just a little bit to the work schedules and the kids' sports schedules, but we'll be back on next Wednesday night here on Around the Ice on Fantasy Stream. Thanks for joining us. Check you guys next time.